Bull movie. It's a bull movie.
So
Don't watch it. It's terrible. Just wait until like the spoiler reviews come out. Watch that, then you'll get it. And it's just not. Are we doing a spoiler review? Let's just do it. Let's just do a spoiler review.
Let's give. Okay, if you can't tell already, we've seen Morbius. We just got out of Morbius. It was an hour 45, which was funny because I made a joke to Ryan that I checked my phone and was like, okay, if there was 15 minutes of ads and we saw it at 6:30 and it's an hour 45 and it was like 8:05 and I was like, if my maths check out, we've only got 20 minutes left. And Ryan's like, wait, what? Nothing. We hadn't even got to what felt like a final act by then.
It just kind of was like, oh yeah, no, they have to fight. Okay.
Let's do like our non-spoiler start, and then we'll do spoiler. Let's start with non-spoiler. Give me a sentence review.
Sentence review.
You've given me shit, which like it is, but like give me a little more.
It's a catfish. It's the catfish. It's the catfish of a Sony Marvel movie.
I love that, and I'm going to clickbait it in the title. That's great. The Sony catfish emerges.
The first act we really liked. It was it was setting things up pretty well, but then,
especially for like the villain. Like the villain gets a good. I get what the villain's doing.
Yeah.
I understand his motivations.
Yeah.
I know you technically missed a little bit of the background because he went to get a drink, and when he was leaving, I was like, would you mind getting me? and then the line was long.
And then that was a line. So I was out there for 15, 20 minutes. But
what's really funny, sorry, before you continue, Ryan missed, so he missed a bit of it, right, because of that. When Ryan left, Michael and Milo were kids, and he only left for about 5 minutes. When he came back, we were full adult Michael. That was the backstory telling of his
And then, like, I could kind of get a sense of, like, oh, yeah, they were friends, cool.
They were friends, they had the same disease, they were,
Yep.
But I feel really mad. What you said just before, we're about the catfish, this was false advertising.
Yeah, it's like you're on Tinder and you see, oh, hang on. Oh, we both like the same stuff. Oh, you're kind of hot and kind of cute.
And then, oh my God, you're not the vampire I wanted.
Yeah, well, it's
let's keep it.
So the first few photos on Tinder, great. And then
she's hot. She's got great interests.
Yeah.
She has a funny bio tag.
But then you realise most of the photos of the first one was actually just group photos, and you were thinking it was that one chick that kept on appearing. Turns out it was the other one that you go.
See, that's not even wrong, because that is exactly what happened in the photos you saw, i.e. in the trailer for this film, did not exist.
There were a lot of shots that just didn't happen.
I'm definitely going to do my arm is so sore. I'm going to do a trailer breakdown because I'm really interested, because I feel like a lot. Okay, let's give out, before you go spoilers, let's give our general
out of 10.
You first.
Catfish out of 10.
What's a catfish numerically? Is that
That's
numbers are hard.
Starts off with a solid 7. Then ends with a dismal 2. There were some cool things in it. They were like, oh yeah, his ability is pretty cool, but it just doesn't work.
Come on, give me a number.
It's 2. It's 2.
Out of 10.
Out of 10, it's a 2.
Okay, I'm going to be nice to this film. It's a solid 3.5. And look, I'm really someone that kind of is like, oh my gosh, my arm. Movies, almost all 5 out of 10 or greater. It's not. They're all got something. You take away something from a film. You know what I took away from this film? This was a commercialized piece of crap that Sony's held on to for years. Obviously, it filmed years ago. I think it was just over 3 years ago it filmed. It was supposed to be released in 2020. They've cut a bunch of stuff from the film. The film is nothing like the trailer suggests, which can be really interesting, i.e. Infinity War. trailer was doctored, made us think maybe we were going to win, maybe Thanos wasn't the biggest threat. Civil War trailer, like, was kind of a butthurt moment that made it look like people would die. No one died in the movie. But this movie is like a new level of false advertising. If you don't know who Eric Voss is from New Rockstars, you should check out his content. I bet in the next couple of days he's going to make like a... Because recently he did a Do Marvel Trailers Live video and concluded no. He probably might revisit that hypothesis now. All right, we've given numbers. So I gave 3.5, you gave 2. Let's go spoilers.
I did not connect with any characters, like the chick, the main
Doctor
Morbius, Milo. I just did not connect with any characters. And I actually thought the guy, maybe because I'm just got a bias for the show, the guy from Chernobyl, that guy from Chernobyl, that scientist in it.
Which is, by the way, Chernobyl is actually good content. You should go watch that.
Watch now.
But don't watch Morbius because he's in it. Because he's in it for what, like 5 minutes?
Yeah, I was expecting more. Like a mentor sort of figure, but he just doesn't.
He mentors him in the trailer. Because there's that scene that obviously gets cut from this film where he's like sitting in the park with Michael and he's like, "Are you here to heal the world or you're here to destroy it?" And it was a great line.
That's a good impression.
Oh, thanks. And I was like, wow, this will be an interesting movie. But no, you don't actually get much anti-hero from Morbius in this movie. I feel like he's just a straight villain, but then isn't. Like he's...
Yeah, he's just like...
There's no redeemable qualities about him, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's just kind of... I don't know, he just... Yeah, I can kind of get like, okay, I don't want to be a monster. And so he's like trying to defeat the monster side of himself, which is Milo. But it doesn't feel like anything. It's just like he defeats him, full stop. You know, imagine just, and you know he punctures his heart, and you're like, all right, is he?
Well, it's like spoilers for What If, right? If you haven't seen What If, this is a spoiler. But it's like, have you seen What If?
Yeah.
It's like in the Ultron episode where Thanos shows up and then Vision just like cuts him in half with his laser. It's like that, where Morbius literally easily defeats the guy. Literally, he's like, bro, I can control bats. And it's like, when could you do that? Nowhere else in the movie. He's in the bat pod.
Oh yeah, I can control bats, lol.
And the flying? Like, I thought, I'm not very familiar with the character because he actually doesn't have like a lot of time in the comics, is my understanding. Like, he's not as prominent as characters like Venom or whatever. I think he's only got one comic that's just his. He appears in Spider-Man comics.
Yeah.
But I thought his power, when they were doing the train thing and he was like flying in front of the train, I was like, is that because the train is like giving off force? It looked like he was more riding the air than flying.
Yeah.
Did you get that? Like,
yeah.
His ears went weird and like...
And he could he was like seeing the air waves, you know, coming, so he was like, oh yeah, I can do that. But then like later in the film, he just starts flying, so it's like...
Yep. Oh, and I said to you, because I was really pissed, when he breaks out of prison and he's never tried jumping from height before and he just jumps to the other building.
Yeah. There is no sense of progression. It's just like, he's just there.
Like, we think back to films we love, like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. He's whipping the lamp across the room. He's like, it can come out of me like that. He's crawling up the building. He's slipping. We don't get any progression like you wanted and you were saying. And what's really funny, Ryan turned to me at one point. We were talking a lot, which was easy because, like, if this was the Batman and it was our first time saying, I wouldn't have talked to you much at all in this movie. But the movie was very slow in parts. And we started to not take it seriously from like Act 2. But Ryan turned to me and said, do you know what, this would be a good like TV show. And then I was like, but like not A-grade TV. Like, no. Like Arrowverse kind of TV.
Yeah. That's what it felt like. If you know those sort of superhero, even The Flash or Supergirl or you know, those sort of TV series, Morbius would have been a great TV series, like in that area. Like I would have actually
Netflix, I guess, like as part of the rest of the Sony made.
Yeah. I would have just watched like a season of it and like, oh yeah, that was cool, you know.
It would never have been on Disney Plus, even if Marvel had it. Like, Kevin Feige would throw up watching this movie. So we've talked a little bit about progression. He doesn't have any time to learn his powers, really. It's very quick. There's do you know the other thing? I'm sorry, I'm really pissed. He's not likable at any point in this film.
No.
In my opinion. I don't resonate with him. The part where I turned to Ryan and I was like, this movie's a joke, was when he just steals a lab from criminals, which I guess you can reason as they're criminals. Whatever.
But also, like, just where they were, by the way.
Oh, yeah, just in like an abandoned train station.
Yeah, and it just looks like it was just straight from the street. Like,
he walked one flight of stairs, didn't he?
One flight of stairs, and they were there. You know, like, these are the worst criminals ever. They're just straight out the main street of New York. Or wherever. I'm pretty sure it was New York, isn't it?
Yeah. We'll come back to New York in a second when we talk about Spider-Man connections. Yeah. But, that moment in that scene that I was like, this character's not likable and the movie's not working. He breaks all of the bones in that guy's hand.
Yeah.
One by one being like, haha, this is your phalange. One of your phalanges. Oh, broken.
And the movie's trying to say like, oh, well, these guys, they make fake money. So it's like, it's...
Oh, they're bad guys. Yeah. We should kill them.
Yeah, like really injured. Like,
and he jokes about his return time to work. Do you remember he was like, oh, it'll take you... Probably 12 weeks for that, buddy.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's that. And what I'm really pissed about, the trailer made that look like he just twisted his arm and was like, I am Venom. And then he makes a joke about, just Michael Morbius at your service.
Yeah.
That line doesn't happen because he breaks all the guys' fingers and arm and his wrist and like...
I think what happened, it seems like they had a movie they already filmed a lot of stuff and they filmed it in a particular way and in a particular... sort of theme and sort of mood to it, and like saying more light-hearted things. But then maybe one or two producers went like, "Oh, we got to make this like darker, I think, or we got to make this like, I don't know, sometimes light-hearted, but this is more serious, more dark, because he's like drinking blood and stuff." And I reckon tonally, it just throws itself off. It just goes like, that. That scene where he's like, Milo is doing a Tobey Maguire sort
Matt
of
Smith,
dance.
the actor, I think I saw in early reviews, was movie's really bad, but at least Matt Smith's having fun. A lot of people were really crediting Matt Smith, and I have to say, Matt Smith was excellent. I thought now he was fed a couple dumb lines by writers, but that's not his fault. And I'd say the same mostly of Jared Leto. I didn't think he was bad.
Yeah, there were the lines. Yeah. Like the lines that they were given was just crap. Like
the acting wasn't. Okay, the acting was a little bad towards the end.
You don't want to see me hungry.
That's a quote from the movie. You don't want to see me hungry. Yeah. Sounds like an animated like.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He's an anime protagonist.
And so we progressed
this would
through
be
history.
a cool anime. I would have watched an anime of this, to be honest.
Yeah, but if it was anime, it would be like super dark, like Attack on Titan.
That would have been cool. That would have been so cool.
But instead. So we went through history, progression, we kind of get into... All of Act 1's pretty cool. The stuff on the ship is a little bit like... What was the question I had? Oh, another thing about him that's not likable, he brings a person who really means a lot to him to this thing. He has no idea how it's going to happen. And he puts her in a lot of jeopardy career-wise and and criminally-wise.
Yeah.
After he kills everyone on the ship.
But then she goes, but I wanted to do it. You remember that when she says that?
Oh, I don't remember that.
They were like, it was when the cat was in the scene. It was in that scene. And he was like, I'm sorry.
I tried to pay attention.
I
tried to not pay attention, but it's hard to... Yeah, so we got that. And then the boat stuff's cool. It's like really scary action. And
yeah, that was a cool scene.
Another, one of my iconic shots from the movie, in the hospital, he's like, what we think's Michael.
Yeah.
And that's a great writing point, that we think it's Michael hunting this nurse. There's a cool shot of him like flickering up and then disappearing a few frames. It's like a wide shot. It's scary. Him grabbing her came like as a jump scare. And then the shot of just someone feasting on her was great. Turns out it's Milo. That's a great plot point that he picked up the thing. The thing that I have a lot of, I mean, it's a bad time to talk about it, but I understand that the thing works on those two because they have the blood condition that this would assist with. Yeah. Why does she become a vampire at the end.
Yeah.
Because does that assume that anyone who took this thing becomes a living vampire?
And anyone who touches their blood, like,
Yeah, not explained. He bit her.
and then didn't fully suck out the blood.
So what you're telling me, here's a plot hole. So what you're telling me is that Michael was so hungry on the ship, he drained every single one of those security people, because if he hadn't have, they would have come back as vampires. But the
Which
jumping off the
explains-
ship shot, I laughed out loud.
Yeah, it looks. I reckon they just added that. They must have had like a quick change to that little part that went, oh, something doesn't make sense. Let's just make him put a CGI thing and jump him off.
That is a common thread, though. Whether CGI is bad or the writing's bad, it was like duct taped on. Okay, so we progress through. There's some decent fight scenes early on between Milo and him in the train station that you can kind of follow.
Yeah.
And he kills all the cops, and it's like, oh, and the news are like, oh, Michael Morbius, like the J. Jonah Jamesons of the world are like, Spider-Man, he's a menace. Like Morbius is a menace. But then the thing that you don't get, which is like so classic, is like a 3-act story. Like, we get a decent act 1 where we're like, oh my gosh, Michael is like this dude who's like got some complex like history. We don't care about his motivations, the scriptwriters say. Let's just kind of move on with the movie. Act 2 is like got some cool fighting, but not really much going on. And then you don't know Act 3 starts.
Yeah, it just
and then it ends.
It just felt like Act 2 went to end, and that's it. Like,
Yeah. The energy in the cinema was not good. So I'm wondering if we had have been like, I kind of wanted to talk to someone and be like, did you actually like that? But it's hard to say that.
Yeah.
Because people might have liked it.
I saw people like not even caring about the post-credit scene.
A lot of people left at the end of
straight up. Like
the movie.
Even as the post-credit scene was happening, people were just walking out.
And then some people were like looking up, like, okay, so let's briefly talk Act 3. We kill off the doctor dude, even though he was in the trailer doing much more in this movie than he was. He must be pissed as an actor that he shot all that stuff.
Oh, yeah. And then
just cut. And what is it? What Act 3? He kills him, which gets Michael pissed because he comes and finds him. But he doesn't ambush Michael at that apartment.
He could have.
He could have, but he wanted the girl for some reason to. And he bites.
Yeah. What was the point of?
He could have had her literally like 3 times in this movie. He came over to the lab and she was alone. Could have taken her then.
And even he didn't have to grab the girl. He literally remember when he was just standing there on the train tracks.
That was a terrible shot. That scene was
He
like
could have gotten them.
Yeah, they're like, oh hey baby, like they're romancing, and he's just standing there like, oh yeah, I'm gonna come back for you later when the plot makes sense to come and get you. But first I'm gonna get the doctor, and then I'm gonna come back for you. Although I guess he's looking at the top. While he was there, I guess he formulates the plan to put her on the roof, because that's where that final Michael finds her. So I guess he's like, oh,
but what's the point of even having the plan? Like,
and the whole plan.
If he doesn't care about killing her, just go for it. Why does he just go?
And the whole plan was for Michael to use his echolocation and bat hearing to hear that he bit her and that he's got her. That was the whole plan. What if Michael never turned on his power to use that? Because he had to like consciously try and do that. Does he just kill her and she dies, and then it's like, okay, let's get to the death. So she's bitten. She's lying there on the ground. Michael gets here and it's like, oh my gosh.
Well, she wasn't bitten. She was like, was it clawed?
And she clawed. Yeah, that's right. She was
clawed across the throat, and she's like,
oh, I'm dying, so let me kiss you, and then I'm going to lick the blood like... And that indicates that maybe I'm going to become a vampire.
And then he goes, and just to seal the deal,
bites her. Yeah. And I mean, we all thought she was still alive. At a point there, I was like, Sony might just kill her, and that's her death scene.
Yeah.
I was on a point there, I was like, the rest of this movie's dumb. Maybe this will be dumb too. No, she comes back, but we don't see her really. She just opens her eyes. She does that like the cop in Let There Be Carnage. She's like, like Jon Snow. Yeah. End episode.
But like, I didn't hear, it's not like the audience went, whoa, nobody cared. I don't even remember her name.
But okay, so we get to that, and then it's like the worst fight scene that's ever been captured on film. You can't see what's going on. The CGI is, I would say, throughout the film is pretty consistently pretty good.
Yeah.
You just can't see anything. There's darkness over it. I was saying to you a lot during the scene where Milo comes to meet the doctor at his apartment, and we keep seeing Milo like going half vampire, but it's blurry. The scene's blurry and hard to see, and it's like, why even waste the money? Like on a visual effects shot, I can't see it. It's like filming it in darkness and then doing VFX and then just darkening the. It's like, why?
It does seem like they did the VFX, and then the editors or like the people involved with the color of the shot, they just went.
Everything's grey.
The director,
like his face.
The director wants it to be dark and grey.
The blur seems to be in post. It didn't strike me as like they were actually out of focus shots.
Yeah.
Like it was art. Like that was his artistic vision to make that scene blurry.
Yeah.
Zack Snyder. So we get that. We get the fight scene where it's like it reminds me a lot of fight scenes in Batman, in Superman, Man of Steel, and Superman, like in the Justice League, where it's someone really powerful. They did it better in Man of Steel, but it's like a superhuman flying really quick and smashing that guy, and then he's over there and he's over. It's like, where do I follow as an audience? I appreciated at points they made it slow motion.
Yeah.
But it was very sparingly that they did that.
Yeah.
Look, even when you compare it to DC, when you see the Flash, we don't just like, and then we don't. That's it. We never see what he did, or like we see slow motion. We see Flash's perspective of him trying to. There wasn't enough of that where it just felt like blur across the screen, something threw across the screen. Where's my? You at one point said, "Where are we?"
Yeah, I didn't know where we were fighting.
We ended up in like the bottom of like a construction site or something.
Yeah.
Funny, Sony likes construction sites.
Most Sony movies end up in a construction site, like they're like it's like they're trying to portray that they're still under construction.
Maybe the film was
still a work in progress.
But that's the thing about this film that strikes me, and I've heard people say the same thing who hadn't seen the film, but were analysing the early reviews. The film doesn't feel like it's half done. There's nothing about this film that feels unfinished.
Yeah.
It just feels bad. Like it feels like they were like...
They had all the time in the world. Well, like, kind of.
When you have a 2020 release date, originally.
So they had you said they did the filming before 2020, but then they
filmed this in 2019.
Yes, yeah, and they had. I'm
pretty sure.
So they had more time to run through the footage, do more
watch
CGI.
Spider-Man No Way Home to see what a good film is like, and then compare it to whatever this was. Okay. We've said before, we'll skip over it. The final fight scene, you think like he's faking that because he didn't stab him with a stake. It was like he stabbed him with he conjured an antigen to the vampire thing, and we were both like, this isn't going to work. Yeah. Like he's going to get back up and he's pretending, and then he'll attack. No.
This would be more of a fight, like a huge epic fight that happens. But
they flash across the screen in that final fight scene, land in the construction site, and then it literally is just, I can use the bats, and then I trap him with the bats and I stab him. Roll credits.
That's it.
That's not a joke. This, honestly, that final fight scene feels like a video game, like, cinematic from the early 2000s. Like, before video games were really good.
Which I would have frothed over, by the way.
Yeah. As a kid, if this was a video game, amazing.
Yeah.
A film in 2022, it just don't work.
Bro, I would play a game that was like this. Where you
can fill in the story, like the good bits.
Yeah. Or you use your imagination to fill it in.
And then, we kill him. We have that dumb thing we talked about with the girl becoming a vampire, and he kind of like flies off into the... And then we just cut to credits.
That's it. There's no
real aftermath, was there? We didn't see much. We saw a bit No, we didn't see any news. That's right. The crater, we're looking at the crater, and the cops get there, and then the bats fly up, he flies out, and that's the end of the movie. There's no aftermath.
And then that's when she goes, as it gets to his face at the end.
Yeah, he's like flying. He's like, I am Morbius.
Yeah.
Roll credits.
That's it.
To be fair, I have to say the opening credits and the final credits, probably the best part of the film, where it's like, I liked the colours and the font.
It was actually a cool design.
It was like Morbius's colours. When the Morbius actually shows up, the title at the beginning, and it's pink, that was cool because that wasn't like any of the marketing. It's like all this blue colour with blood through it. And like, it was cool. And I was
I reckon that would have been, like, if they changed the colour design to something that, you know, like...
More neon.
Yeah, like, you know, more purples and more... even pinks and something.
I think that's his... I could be wrong, but in the comics, he's not just a guy in a... Like, I think he makes his own costume, and it's like a purpley kind of... So I think that's why they were kind of nodding to that. That was about the only nod to... Look, I haven't read the comic books, but I feel like that's probably the only nod. They were kind of making up his powers as they go. I can't compare to the comics. I haven't read the comics, but it felt like it was like this... I'm just knocking DC. It felt like the Superman problem, where they're like, how can we make Superman fix this problem? Fly as quickly as he can around the world to turn back time. They were plot points. Like, they were mechanisms. Instead of them actually being like, what would a character do and what would... Okay. Let's talk about the post-credits scenes.
Okay. Yes.
They're easily the best part of the film in terms of, like, laughing out loud and rolling your eyes. So what was the first one?
First one was Michael Keaton's... what's it called? I forgot what the...
Oh, Vulture.
Michael Keaton's Vulture.
Oh, yeah, because it opens the credit. We see the purple breaking in reality from No Way Home.
Yep.
So we're like, oh, that's Doctor Strange's spell. What's it doing? Shouldn't it be returning people from this universe who knew that Peter Parker was Spider-Man? Which, by the way, was zero so far, except Venom. And Venom, the only reason Venom shows up in No Way Home is because they explain it as like the symbiote hive knowledge.
Yeah. But
good plot point.
There's no... Yeah, you make
Why
a good
would someone
point.
come back? Switch from a universe that the spell brought people to in the MCU. Toomes is there. Yeah, he knows who Peter Parker is. Why would he get, when the spell ends, be put in another universe? That would suggest everyone that's fought Spider-Man in his world, MCU,
would get
taken back to other universes. So are we suggesting in Sony's film...
Everybody in the Mysterio, that sort of... what were they called? I forgot their company thing. Like
Yeah. They were like...
graphics people.
I don't know if they had a name.
Yeah, those
But
people...
all of those would get moved
to a different universe.
Now,
What's this
Mysterio's
suggesting?
technically, I think, was supposed to be alive for No Way Home. That's what I read. Because what was going to happen is maybe just because he was dead in this universe, when the multiverse opens in the end, it was supposed to be a variant Mysterio come through who was actually a powerful being and not a VFX artist. It would have convoluted the film, so they cut it, and that's fine.
That would have been crazy.
But what are they suggesting? Did they speak to Marvel about this? Are they suggesting that the spell didn't work? In that it returned people to random places? Like, it was a...
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone forgot, but also, like, pew, 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 all around the multiverse.
Maybe, like, as Doctor Strange is like, all right, well, I can't actually do this. Like, there's actually some things that might affect things. So maybe he got a person to go to a different universe so it doesn't convolute the universe even more. I have no freaking clue.
No, see, this is the thing that's frustrating me. Would Sony have made these decisions by themselves? I can't see Marvel signing off on these post-credit scenes.
Yeah.
I bet they signed off on the Vulture, except they didn't have to because Vulture's a Sony character. So that's why I don't think any of this movie would have got greenlighted. Because there's no way Kevin Feige would allow this to pollute the MCU. What happened? This makes Doctor Strange look... And then I'm having questions like, did Doctor Strange intentionally send Toomes away because he could see he was going to make a Sinister Six? And now this is like this backwards logic that we're going, oh, let's undermine everything great we did with No Way Home.
Yeah. But then in this universe, it's suggesting that there's another Spider-Man. Or that there is a Spider-Man.
So the thing I didn't want to tell you before the movie, in the director's interview, he spoiled a couple things. Firstly, he spoiled that it our Adrian Toomes, not a variant. So he literally said that in an interview before the movie came out.
Yeah.
It's MCU Adrian Toomes, and everyone was like,
Alright, yeah.
He also said, there's a Spider-Man in every world, according to the comics. There's a Spider Totem, so a Spider-Man or a Spider-Woman in every universe across the multiverse. And then he was asked, when will we find out who the Spider-Man is? And he said, my understanding from Sony is that we'll find out soon. You'll find out soon. So I don't care. I don't want to know. If this is the world that we're starting with.
Andrew Garfield, Amazing Spider-Man.
Andrew
3.
Garfield, his movies, in my opinion, not great. The first one was okay, the second one was awful. That's my view, and I think a general consensus was they weren't amazing.
Yes.
They were pretty good. He's amazing in Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah.
In my, you can check out my video on my solo channel, but I suggest in that video that don't upset what you've already done and succeeded with. Andrew Garfield had a full 360 story.
Yeah, he's already kind of completed.
Sony, you make terrible movies without supervision. Don't ruin something for millions of people around the world that love Spider-Man. If you're going to put Andrew Garfield in this world with the same kind of writers and directors who did this movie, I don't want to see it and I won't watch it.
Yeah, and if they do Miles Morales, like if they put them in with the same universe as this, it just
Fans
feels
are going to riot.
disgusting.
Fans are going to riot.
Yeah, Marvel's gonna have to terrorize Sony, and they're gonna have to storm their offices and take over. Come on, there'll be another war. Before
I send Ron home, let's talk about the second post-credit scene, which is arguably worse than the first. He shows up in the second post-credit scene in his vulture suit, which looks identical to the one from Homecoming.
Yeah.
Which he didn't come through with. And no friends or associates in this world. So he makes his own suit. Now, the director in the interview said he's a crafty guy. Like, he'll make his own suit. You're a dummy, you've ruined so much for so many people. I don't get this mad about movies, but when you make stuff this dumb, dumb writing, dumb things in movies, it happens. Your whole premise is stupid.
I reckon the ending thing was the end credit scene was not, after credit scene was
with
not,
Vulture and Morbius.
With Vulture and Morbius, and they say, heard about Spider-Man.
But he doesn't say Spider-Man.
Oh, what does he say?
He just says guys like us should team up or something.
Guys should team up. And he says I think Spider-Man sent me here or something.
Oh yeah, he says I think it's something to do with Spider-Man. You're right.
Yeah,
being sent there, but no real reason for him or Morbius to. The Sinister Six is against Spider-Man and other heroes. We haven't seen any heroes in this world. There's a couple of anti-heroes now. We got Morbius and Venom.
Yeah.
Why would these guys form? And he said something about we should do some good. Was that sarcastic? Was that genuine? Are they reformed men? What happened to Toombs between being in Homecoming and
there is I reckon a lot of that was just they just quickly made that up. They probably had to hire a couple more VFX studios to do this really quick. Because
Vulture was entirely CG.
Yes, they didn't show Michael Keaton at all. And
he spoke and his voice wasn't even in sync with his movements of his head and his hands.
Yeah, and Morbius, it looked like he got what's it called? Rodeo? Was it rodeo? What's it called when they pretty much cut and paste?
Oh, rotoscoped.
Rotoscoped in
it looks like Ryan's right. It looks like it's a different shot from a different scene.
And the lighting is not right. I picked up on it. I've watched too much Corridor Digital. The lighting of the characters was just not right in this after credit scene, as well as in some parts of the movie. But
I wonder if they'll fix it before it comes out on digital. Probably. I wonder if they'll fix the movie. Final thoughts. Is there any redeeming parts of this movie other than the things we highlighted about some horror elements and some interesting villain? Is there anything that they could make redeeming about this? Was there anything you take away and go, oh, the Sonyverse is bright?
I think they're gonna have to. I reckon don't rely on the producers, the EPs. Don't rely on the producers to make the movie. They've got to get the director, like what Matt Reeves did with the Batman.
Get a creative mind in who isn't associated with your studio.
Yeah.
Get them in to just come and
don't try and make it like a cash grab. You've got to make it with art.
Have some class.
And there's actual emotions in this rather than just we want to make money. And see characters go boom, boom, boom.
It felt like a DC movie.
Yeah. Actually, you could put this in the DC universe, and no one would bat an eye.
Can you imagine how great this would be if this was like Moon Knight? and like a Kevin Feige special where he like really puts some great minds, some great actors. What's funny is they had Jared Leto, who's generally like a pretty good actor. Matt Smith, who I hear is incredible on Doctor Who. I haven't watched that.
I watched a little bit.
And the guy from Chernobyl and the female doctor was great in this. Sorry, Dr. Bancroft.
The female doctor.
But there's nothing. There's no substance, there's no feel, there's no heart that comes with a Marvel movie. It's not just, as you say, big pow superheroes and powers. It's supposed to be like a heartfelt story with great storytelling. Sony, do better, you're a disgrace. That's kind of all I have to say.
So listen to these two Australian dudes. We know better than you on how to make movies.
I could have made of this a better movie, honestly, without any experience.
Hey, I did 1 unit in last semester.
You did 1 unit in film school, so you're like, I could have made this so good.
Yeah, like I could have done way better with this if I had all the money.
I've said Sony's a disgrace. What's your final word?
I hate you, Sony. I hate you.
And that's all, folks. Go see Morbius, 10 out of 10 IGN.